Hey guys, and welcome back for some more Trove news. Now, we have so much stuff to talk about. I hope it doesn't take too long and make a very long video. But we have stuff about the Megalithic update. We have PTS changes. We have lag changes. Yes, lag. Plasma fishing. Leeching changes. Again, yes, leeching changes. And subclass information. Rick, the new head honcho, he came out strong today. And if any of this is true, he is our savior. He is Trove's Gaben right now, if anything is true from what he discussed today. So first things first is the Megalithic update. Now, there's no release date today. I did say last week that I thought they would drop the release date today, this week, but Rick has said that we will know more about it next week because since he's been in charge, he has seen a couple bugs that he considers not up to his standards. That's how you know when the head honcho is, really stepping in and being in charge, is when there's bugs in the game that aren't up to his standards and he won't even give us a release date yet, So this guy seems to be way more focused on quality assurance, which could be an amazing thing, or it could just be the standard, response of a dev. It could always be that all of this could just be a standard dev response, but the way he sounds when he talks about these things, it sounds like he is actually putting in effort to make sure that there's some quality assurance and all that good stuff. So this is awesome. Even though the release date is getting pushed back, it's for a very good reason, and everyone should be excited that he's even talking this way, because Abram would have never said anything like this. Abram was so vague. He could have been focusing on quality assurance, but he never mentioned it. He never said anything about that kind of stuff. So this guy's either more open about this stuff, or he's actually focused on it, which could be awesome, like I said. Next up is PTS changes. Rick comes in, he's like, this isn't an actual test server, let's make it a real test server like someone with common sense. Thank you, Rick, for having common sense as the head honcho, because he said that he's going to make it an actual test server, not just another live server. Because right now it's basically live, except for you have infinite qubits and infinite credits. Nothing else is different. You still have to grind up a new character and all that stuff. So he said eventually we will be able to transfer our characters from live to PTS, so you don't have to grind out 220 KPRs if you want to test something. Like, that's crazy to even think about. It's crazy that it's taken this long, but I guess it was just Avram that was holding back or something, because he comes in and he just freaking slaps us with all these changes. But yeah, so we'll be able to transfer our characters from live to PTS. He's going to make it an official test server, so there's going to be frequent wipes, and the focus every time the server is actually up is going to be on things coming out in the future, like a real test server, like 99% of other MMOs do it, So again, PTS in Trove was always one of the worst ways to ever go about being a test server. So I am very, very happy that they're finally making it a server for testing and not playing, because there's a very big difference. Especially as a content creator, this is amazing, because I could finally show you guys things without having to beg the devs to give them to me on PTS. Even though it's PTS, the devs are still hesitant to giving me, costumes or class unlocks or anything like that, because they considered it live. Like, it was so stupidly insane. Now that it's going to be a test server, I hope that it's easier to show you guys things. In this video, I'm showing you just random footage of me farming because they didn't show anything today. Imagine if I could have just logged on to PTS and showed you everything I'm talking about today. That's what's going to come in the future, hopefully. I'm just interpreting this as that's how it's going to become, so I hope it becomes that, because if it's not and it's still the same thing as it is today, then it doesn't make much difference, and I'm praising it for nothing. But hopefully it comes to be an actual test server. Next up is lag. Now I'm just adjusting in the chair if you hear a lot of scuffling in the background. So he said, Rick was like, Megalithic update. Oh, I can never say that correct the first time. But the Megalithic update, that's his first priority. It's not even up to his standards yet. Guess what his second priority is? Lag. He straight up was like, Megalithic update, then lag. He's going to focus on lag. Now, this could be amazing, but even though Rick seems pretty awesome so far, they have been saying this exact thing since closed beta. So I just hope that he is actually focused on it and not just saying it, because that would suck very badly. Again, I'm hyping this dude up. I want him to get as much hype as possible, because I want him to see the hype that he's getting, and I want him to come through with things. So we gotta give him some hype. If he doesn't pull through, then you can hound him. But for now, we need to give him as much hype as possible, because he's focusing on the main things: quality, stability, performance. That's what he's focusing on from what he is saying here. So hopefully that comes to fruition. Like I said, fun fact, by the way, because I do see a lot of people saying that the servers will never get better because they're like limited by the game engine or something. I don't know why that keeps going around, but that's not true. Back in when the game launched on Steam and it had its most players ever, so right now you see how bad the servers are. You could, like, there's lag for days right now, and there's only 5,000 concurrent players on average. You know, 5,000 people are playing the game at once. When the game came out on Steam, there was 60 to 70,000 concurrent players all playing at once, and the servers were perfect. It was the best month of Trove ever. When the game launched on Steam, and you know the reason why is because they put a lot of budget into the servers. They wanted a smooth launch on Steam, and they got it. But the thing is, everyone still quit for their reasons. You know, maybe the game was so boring, or they didn't like the grind, or there was nothing to do because all you can do is do dungeons in this game. There's literally nothing else, basically. Once all those players quit, the servers started to become a little worse and a little worse. And after, you know, 90% of the players from the launch left the game, the servers are the way they are today. So you know, if they had the best servers when they had the most players, if they have this little bit of a player base, you know they can fix it. You know it's got to be like a huge budget cut that they did. I just had like a little stutter there. But yeah, it's got to be something budget-wise that they need to fix, and hopefully they do it. It is a worthwhile investment, guys. Trust me. It's a worthwhile investment because you'll make your players extremely happy if you just fix the lag, trust me. And you wouldn't lose so many players if you would have just fixed the lag in the first place. They probably lost a ton of players on consoles because of the servers, which they're not going to get those back. It's already too late, but it's never too late for the people that are still playing the game and still supporting the game to this day. So please, guys, do it. Rick, you sound awesome. Be awesome. Next up is plasma fishing. I'm not going to talk too much about plasma fishing because it's fishing. Like, I know so many people hype it up. It's fishing, guys. It's freaking fishing. Calm down. But yeah, so plasma fishing and other fishing updates, which sounds awesome because maybe they'll be expanding on fishing because both ring crafting, rune crafting, gardening, and fishing have never been updated ever. I always get the comment on my fishing guide, please update this. There has not been a single update to fishing since fishing came out, so I'm sorry. Well, they did add the radiant fish, but that was it. That was literally it when they updated the radiant runes. But yeah, so they said that this stuff is being worked on as we speak. It is already being worked on. And this is, again, awesome because it seems like since Rick has been in charge, you know, he's really cracked the whip on the devs. And there's so many things that they're actually working on. Everything from that producer's letter that we talked about a week and a half ago or last Friday, everything is actually being worked on. That's not just ideas for the future. Those are things actually coming, like actually being worked on. When we get into subclasses in a little bit, they have so much info to tell us about those. But yeah, next up is leeching, and it turns out Rick doesn't like leeching. So he's looking into either nerfing leeching or getting rid of leeching altogether. And yes, I have defended leeching in the past because I personally have no issue with leeching. There are a lot of things you can do to prevent leeching in the first place, like you could turn off your rally blade. I know not a lot of people know that you can actually turn off your rally blade, which makes it so players can't join on you randomly, so they wouldn't be standing on top of the dungeon. And also, I feel like if they were there or not there, it doesn't really matter if you're one-shotting the boss in the first place. But when it comes to dragon challenges, there's no thing that I could defend leeching against when it comes to dragon challenges, because if there's like 3 people actually killing the bosses and there's like a 60-man group doing the challenges, most of the time those 3 people that were actually killing the boss and actually doing it for the other 60 people, most of the time they don't actually get the loot from the boxes that are at the end of the dungeon, because loot is all RNG past 8 people. So if they can change it to where loot is rewarded to people actually contributing, then that would be a lot better. You know, like most MMOs have a tag system. I wouldn't say that tag system would work too well with Trove, because the thing is, a lot of classes is just one-shot a boss. And if you make it to where you have to tag the boss to get the credit, then that would suck for a lot of people, because I could just walk in there, one-shot a boss, and you have no chance to tag it. So I really hope they come up with a very good solution to make it to where it's divvied out evenly, with people actually, like, at least being in the dungeon. Maybe you have to get into the dungeon, but the thing is, all the leechers will just change their habit, and they'll go to the end of the dungeon and then just stand there. But then that maybe makes incentive to actually kill the boss, because if they're just going to stand next to the boss, might as well attack it, you know? So I don't know how they're going to do it, but they got to do it really well, because again, this game isn't really like many other MMOs, and it's more about the divvying up of the loot. To 8 people is the bigger issue. The 8 people limit is what I feel like is the actual issue, not the issue of leeching. But, you know, hopefully they'll come up with a solution. Like I said, they could either just, I would say just get rid of the 8 person limit. Honestly, it will crash the see, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it'll crash many markets, because you could just have 60 people go farm radiant shards, and then radiant shards are 0.2 flux each. So I don't know. Again, I don't have the solution. Hopefully they come up with a very good one, because I'll just make myself sound dumb if I come up with a solution. So I'd rather not do that. But next up and finally is subclasses. So with subclasses, they just straight up dropped the subclass info on us today. They explained exactly how the system is going to work when it comes out. Not 100%, they didn't give us specific numbers or specific things, but they said the gist of how subclasses are going to work. And turns out I was actually right last week, which is crazy. But also keep in mind, one real quick, just a disclaimer, this isn't out yet, so things can change. They can make something and it doesn't work, and they change it later on. It sounds like they're pretty much intent with what they came up with so far, because they have a lot of information on it. So I feel like this is kind of how it's going to work. But again, things can change, be it minor or major. Always keep that in mind when I make these videos. But what they explained is that the way subclasses are going to work is that every class in the game will be given passives specific to that class and their level. So what I am thinking, again, just making something up. Apparently I was correct last week by making something up, so might as well just keep making things up. But what I think is they'll probably do passive tiers based off of every 10 levels. So at level 10, you unlock the first passive of the class. At level 20, you unlock the second passive. At level 30, you unlock the third passive. Maybe they'll have 6 passives, and every 5 levels you get a passive. I don't know. Again, this is just speculation, but that's how it's basically gonna work. That's like the gist of it. And what you will be able to do with these passives is you'll actually be able to mix and match class passes between all classes. Like I said last week, I gave the example of a knight. You can combine it with a dracolite, and it would make a dragon knight. Now, it's not going to be that in-depth. They didn't give us how many passives you can mix and match between each class. Like, if you have your class, I don't know how many passives you can make, because again, there's going to be multiple passives per class. So we'll probably get around 10, I'm just estimating, 10 passives that you could throw on your class, and maybe each class comes with 3 passives, so you can mix and match them. There's going to be a ton of combinations, which is why I don't think it's going to be as in-depth as I was thinking last week. Or like you see with many other MMOs like Guild Wars 2, a subclass makes a brand new class in Guild Wars 2. That class is not the same at all. All of its abilities are changed. It just has the theme of the base class with the theme of another class, but they completely redo the class. That's just not the way it's going to work in this game, because you're not taking 5 classes and redoing them and then you have 10 classes. You're taking 15 classes and allowing all 15 classes to take abilities from 14 other classes with multiple passives, which means it's going to be a mix and match system, a combination system. It's not the same thing. It's not a redesign of a class, it's a combination of classes, which means there's going to be over like 1,000 combinations that you're going to get out of this. There's going to be hundreds, and if not 1,000, like I said. So definitely they can't just redo every ability on every class and make a subclass like I was thinking. You know, I was talking about how you would take a knight, make it a dragon knight, and then all of your abilities will be like fire based and stuff like that. That's just, I don't see that as being the way it's going to work, because that would be so much work to make like 1,000 new abilities. Come on, that, like, I wouldn't ask any developer to do that. That's too many. So definitely it's probably going to be a lot more basic than we might think. I'm thinking it's going to be mostly stat boosting passives for the most part, because like I said, you're going to have multiple passives on 15 classes, which can pull multiple passives from 14 other classes. You know, there's just too much. Especially balancing. Balancing is out the window now. Like, they never balanced the game before, and if you ever thought they were going to balance the game in the future, definitely not after this update, because that's, again, too many abilities to balance around. They're just going to throw too much. So Yep, balancing's out the window. It's going to be very basic from what I'm estimating. Mostly going to be stat boosting passes. There might be a few special ones, maybe like one per class. Maybe have like their level 31 be super amazing. I don't know. We'll have to see when it comes out. If they do manage to pull something off that changes the way you play classes just even a tiny bit, I will be super, super excited. Like I was when Clash Gems came out. Clash Gems were a very nice addition to the game. It changed the way most classes were, except for Dino Tamer. But, you know, it changed up a lot of classes, so I really hope that maybe a little bit of that will rub off onto these passive abilities and make some classes different when you add passives from other classes. Like I said, maybe their top tier one will be, you know, an ability changing one. But we'll have to see when it comes out. Like I said, it'll be a pleasant surprise, or it'll just be basic, and that's what I was assuming in the first place. So that's where you gotta go when it comes to hype. You gotta put your hype on the floor. That way you never be disappointed. You only be, you know, surpassed and excited when it comes out and it blew your expectations. That's what you gotta do. Trust me, that's the better way to be a consumer nowadays. Because hype is a very dangerous thing. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like, and if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button plus the bell next to it so you can be notified whenever I upload a video. If you would like to further support the channel, you could also make sure to check out my Humble Bundle affiliate links in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.